Are you looking for 10 best things to do in Asheville, NC? Most of Asheville's treasures are observed withinside the remarkable outdoors. Travelers can believe what it is want to stay withinside the lap of luxurious at Biltmore earlier than hitting the open avenue at the Blue Ridge Parkway. Those trying to soak up even greater sparkling air can hike sections of the Appalachian Trail or, for the duration of the summertime season, pass for a dip in a swimming hollow in Pisgah National Forest. Asheville is likewise a famous jumping-off factor for a number of the exceptional whitewater rafting excursions in North Carolina. For a piece greater relaxation, excursion one of the location's breweries or pop into the boutiques and galleries withinside the River Arts District. Here is the list of 10 best things to do in Asheville, NC. 1. Blue Ridge Parkway. The 469-mile Blue Ridge Parkway starts off evolved in Virginia and meanders via approximately 250 miles of western North Carolina with a most pace of 45 mph. The dual carriageway gives drivers several possibilities to prevent it overlooks old-fashioned mountain cities and trekking and cycling trails. The thruway is split through milepost markers that grow as you power farther south. The headquarters and primary traveler middle is positioned in Asheville at milepost 384. There, tourists can find out about the herbal and cultural records of the region, in addition to the outside sports to be had alongside the thruway. 2. Pisgah National Forest. Offering greater than 500,000 acres of land approximately 30 miles southwest of downtown Asheville, Pisgah National Forest is jam-packed with sports and breathtaking vistas. With masses of miles of trails and several waterfalls and swimming holes, the woodland presents sufficient possibilities to realize the remarkable outdoors. One of the primary country-wide forests withinside the country, created in part with land that after belonged to the Biltmore estate. The park is domestic to the primary forestry faculty withinside the United States in addition to the Pisgah Astronomical Research Institute and Mount Mitchell, the best height east of the Mississippi River. 3. Craggy Gardens. The exceptional location to look wildflowers alongside the Blue Ridge Parkway is arms down Craggy Gardens, located at milepost 364. Craggy Gardens is a place famous for its abundance of wildflowers, especially rhododendron. Come June, the evergreen foliage in Craggy Gardens turns into overtaken through those red and pink vegetation, developing a sight greater than really well worth the ride. Others vegetation that bloom right here encompass violets, blackberry, mayapple, and Turk's cap lily. You can enjoy the bountiful blooms of Craggy Gardens through trekking. The simplest path is the Craggy Gardens Trail, which at much less than a mile long, passes wildflowers, woodland, and a point of view that overlooks the Black Mountain Range. What is so specific approximately the bushes withinside the forested location of Craggy Gardens is their unconventional shapes. These bushes' twisty roots and branches are an end result of harsh climate situations which are gift at better altitudes. You also can see those bushes through the Craggy Pinnacle Trail, which, in keeping with the National Park Service, is wherein you may see tunnels of rhododendron and wildflowers abound from the path starting to its crest. 4. Appalachian Trail. Winding its manner from Maine to Georgia, the Appalachian Trail spans 190 miles via 14 states. About 323 of these miles are observed in North Carolina. The North Carolina segment gives the various Appalachian Trails maximum peaks, numerous above 6,000 toes. Hiking fanatics can set out on a multi-day or week-long journey preserve in thoughts that you may want let's into camp and hike in a few areas, particularly withinside the Great Smoky Mountains. If you are simply searching out a bit flavor of Appalachia, you may challenge 36 miles northwest of Asheville to the city of Hot Springs, wherein the Appalachian Trail runs proper via city on Bridge Street. From there, park on the Silverman Trailhead and comply with the Appalachian Trail till you attain Lover's Leap Ridge. You can retain to hike alongside the Appalachian Trail or entire the Lover's Leap Loop. 5. Sliding Rock. Ever puzzled what it became like sliding down a herbal waterslide? Sliding Rock in Pisgah National Forest is simply that, easily one of the woodland's maximum specific attractions. Sliding Rock is a sloped, predominantly flat rock that extends 60 toes in length. It's technically a waterfall, however, as opposed to a circulate or river free-falling right into a pool below. The water right here glides down the rock and empties seamlessly right into a 7 feet deep pool below, making the appeal ideal for water sliding. Many make the trek to Pisgah National Forest to line up and take turns sliding down this amusing herbal wonder. Recent traffic who took the plunge at Sliding Rock stated that they'd a blast doing so, while tourists had been unanimous in recommending a detour to Sliding Rock. They did warn that the water is bloodless, and also you must anticipate crowds. As such, make sure to reach early ideally on a weekday, and produce aqua socks and a rash protect or swim shirt. 6. Mount Mitchell State Park. Unsure of which locations to prevent alongside the Blue Ridge Parkway for unbeatable perspectives of the mountains? Begin at Mount Mitchell State Park, one of the maximum famous stops alongside the thruway. Mount Mitchell State Park is understood for being domestic to the best mountain east of the Mississippi River. What's so remarkable approximately Mount Mitchell, which isn't authentic for parks with excessive peaks, is that the summit is on the market through vehicle. Once you attain the pinnacle, that is 6,684 toes above sea level, you may in reality park your vehicle and take a quick stroll to the statement location wherein you will be dealt with to 360 diploma perspectives of the encircling scenery. What's greater, visibility from the pinnacle may be as much as 85 miles. If you opt to enjoy Mount Mitchell through hike, there are a handful of trails to be had that change in trouble and intensity. The Balsam Nature Trail is taken into consideration. Slight, however, is much less than a mile long. Along this pathway, you may discover a small circulate. This is surely the best spring with inside the Japanese United States. To attain the pinnacle of Mount Mitchell like they did with inside the vintage days, challenge down the Old Mitchell Trail. That is 4.4 miles spherical ride. Or you can stroll the strenuous 2.1 mile Deep Gap Trail, which follows the ridgeline among Mount Mitchell to close by Mount Craig. 7. French Broad River. You do not want to discover the Blue Ridge Parkway to locate adventures in Asheville. In fact, the French Broad River, which runs proper alongside the western fringe of city, is crammed to the brim with amusing and thrilling sports. Popular river sports encompass tubing, kayaking, stand-up paddleboarding, fishing, and greater. French Broad Outfitters is a tremendously rated excursion operator that gives a 3-mile tubing ride down the river. In addition, for your tube, this excursion additionally consists of tubes in your cooler. Must you need to deliver drinks and child-sized tubes, ideal in case you're visiting with family. The corporation additionally gives kayak, canoe, and stand-up paddleboard leases as well. You also can locate tube leases at Zen Tubing, and in case you manifest to be greater inquisitive about stand-up paddleboarding with instruction, Waimuana gives leases, excursions, and lessons. 8. Biltmore. This significant French Renaissance fashion property of George Vanderbilt has a storied beyond courting again to 1889. Considered America's biggest personal domestic, the 250-room property, with 35 bedrooms, 43 toilets, and a whopping 65 fireplaces, took 6 years to construct. The 8,000 acres of gardens had been designed through Frederick Law Olmsted and functioned greater than a mile of on-foot paths, amassing 125,000 acres at its height. 87,000 acres had been bought after Vanderbilt's demise in 1914 to shape what's now the Pisgah National Forest. But its records does not prevent there. During World War II, the property saved portions from the National Gallery of Art, and with inside the 1970s a vineyard became added. In the 2002s, resorts and inns had been opened at the assets. Travelers can now live the nighttime on the inn on Biltmore Estate, the Village Hotel, or pick out on website online cottages. Today, traffic can discover the architecture, artwork, and records of the property and gardens through numerous excursions. The assets functions one-of-a-kind occasions every season, inclusive of the Biltmore Blooms in spring, a summertime season live performance collection, and the grand Christmas shows that encompass greater than 100 opulent bushes. 9. Asheville Breweries. With greater breweries according to capita than everywhere else with inside the United States, and approximately 100 nearby beers to try, Asheville has emerged because the beer capital of the Southeast. Sampling pints from the various nearby breweries has emerged as a fave pastime for Asheville citizens and traffic alike, and there are masses of approaches to revel in Asheville's awesome brews. You can take a self-guided on-foot excursion from the Appalachian Trail, pedal your man around with amazing pub cycle, or permit a person else do the riding all collectively with Asheville Brewery Tours. The beers being produced in Asheville, in addition to the tasting room experiences, are as specific because the metropolis itself, starting from the primary brewery with inside the metropolis, Highland Brewing Company, to Wicked Weed Brewing, which makes a specialty of bitter ales. You can capture a film at the same time as you sip on the Asheville Brewing Company, or grasp with the locals at Green Man Brewing's Green Mansion. 10. River Arts District. When artists got here to Asheville to take in the herbal splendor and free lively atmosphere, they needed to locate huge areas to work. Enter the River Arts District, comprising 22 former business and historic buildings, inclusive of a former tannery and a cotton mill, close to the French Broad River. The location continues the artwork scene alive in Asheville. Guests can walk across the district to fulfill artists and revel in works from greater than 200 artists in numerous mediums like textiles, ceramics, and paintings, in addition to images and jewelry. It's additionally a remarkable location to select up a completely unique memento from a while withinside the metropolis. Visitors to the district say nearby artists are usually inclined to chat. However, the hotbed of creativity should use higher signage, as a few galleries and vintage warehouses are hard to distinguish.